for this week's team call. We got Jake Ratermann with us, Rat Daddy.
Going
So
on,
appreciate you
guys?
hopping on here, Jake. Yes, yes. And sharing a little bit about Jake. So, Jake, one thing that you're doing right now is pretty cool is you're training for an Ironman, a half Ironman, correct?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah. And so he's been training for that, and that's inspirational to see. And we were actually there was a group that flew in from Orlando, and they spent the past couple days with us. And I invited Jake out in the hot tub last night. I'm like, hey, you want to join us in the hot tub? Jake's like, no, dude, I got to get my second workout in for today. So you cycled, I don't know how many miles last night, but shout out to you.
Thanks, brother. I appreciate that.
So yeah, man. So everybody on this call, I mean, everybody on this call knows who you are. You're a beast. You had a good amount of business. For for those that don't know a little bit about your backstory, share briefly just how long you've been in sales for and what you were doing before that.
Yep. Most of you guys know what I did before, but yeah, I did came from solar sales, did that. Didn't work out too well. And then before that, I was working for the fire department doing emergency medicine work. And then I had a company that installed 911 systems in different countries. So done quite a little bit before insurance, but now I'm home free. So
Yep. Not only are you producing, but you're also growing, building, developing a team. So first of all, my first question to you, Claudia, you're not muted. My first question to you is, how do you manage maintaining writing business and focusing on writing business, but also spending time with your people and helping to get them going as well?
yeah, I think, in all transparency, it was definitely extremely hard in the beginning. I think a lot of the times, we tend to learn things the hard way, right? We tend to go about doing things the way we think they're supposed to be done, or we're going to figure out a different way that's never been done before, or whatever that is. But realistically, the biggest learning lessons that I've kind of taken from just growing a team and trying to pour in and losing people and all the ups and downs that I've gone through since I've gone in this business, because I started trying to build from the get-go. That was kind of my biggest goal and mission, was to build a team and produce at the same time. And honestly, I wish I would have listened to Jonah sooner on a lot of things, man. My biggest thing was that he always preached. He's like, dude, automate everything. Automate as much as you possibly can so you can focus on the things that make you the most money. And in the beginning, you're just kind of like trying to figure it out. You're like, oh, dude, I want to write, I want to build, But the biggest thing that really took home for me is, as soon as I started really taking apart my business, is like, okay, right, let's first of all start treating this like a business, right? Let's start pouring into it, investing back in, but also, right, let's actually start being able to automate as much as we possibly can. And that's really when things started to make a lot of sense for me, and pouring in a lot of time, energy, and effort. But yeah, I mean, just managing your time, honestly, to answer your question, it's a learning curve, and I think everyone's going to go through it. But listen to people who've done it already, right? Listen to Jonah, listen to the people who have built, massive, bigger teams, Joe, any of the big leaders out here, and really plug in and see what they're doing. So that way you don't have to learn the hard way, right? They're telling you things not because they want to tell you that, because they want to tell you, they want to tell you because it's what they did to become successful. And I think, really, like I said, automating your time and valuing the time that you have, and really focusing that effort, and detaching emotionally to the business 100%, is something I've really learned. But
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. What are some things specifically on how you've gained some of your time back and you've automated that?
Yeah. So specifically, what I've done right now is I've hired a dialer. So I've got a dialer helping me, booking all my appointments. I've hired a VA to do all of my texting and all of my text blasts and helping my agents book their appointments. I've also hired another VA to do all of my recruitment, outbound, DMing, understanding how to, get clients on the phone, get recruits in. And then I've also invested a lot into CRM, helping my team be able to manage their time, get a lot of their time back. So those are kind of the steps that I've kind of encountered as far as organizing my time. But honestly, a physical thing that I've actually implemented is really structuring my day, because a lot of the times as you build and write at the same time, it's really hard to just write a bunch, just keep dialing, and then like all of a sudden you got to go on a recruiting call, right? And then dialing, and all of a sudden you got to do underwriting work, dialing, and then all of a sudden you got to transition, like always transitioning throughout the day. Not that it's really tiresome. Like, dude, I'm working 12, 14 hours a day as of right now, but like it's tiring when you don't have an actual schedule balancing that time out. And that for me was extremely stressful when building out the business. And just learning those from those mistakes and actually allocating certain parts of my week to doing certain tasks and accomplishing them, and really focusing on the things that are going to make me the most money and invest the most back into my team.
Yeah, it takes time to switch gears between different things. It also
Yeah,
makes you look forward to different days. And it's because if you're always trying to do all these different things, that's when you get anxiety and it just feels monotonous and kind of gruesome. But then you're like, dude,
yeah,
on Wednesdays, I'm recruiting and I'm building a team, or I'm doing this. And then, Thursday I have this dedicated to this to knock this out. And then I'm dialing all day Friday. So then I can really focus on getting some large sales and putting up a lot of business that day, or whatever the case may be. So yeah,
100%.
that's great, man. What are some of your non-negotiables when it comes to this business?
Um, Comms non-negotiable is having an appropriate lifestyle, because before business, you need to have, an actual life to look forward to, and to actually promote your health, right? I think that's the biggest thing. So, working out, I think is really helped me. I've been working out forever, but always making that a top priority as soon as I get up, or as soon as I do anything, just taking care of my body, taking care of my health. As far as non-negotiables, I think for me, it's putting in those little things during the day, right? Those times where, you're able to take a break, putting in those walks, like taking time away, because you're a human being at the end of the day. Like, I know we want to treat ourselves like grinders, and we're gonna, risk it all and put it all into it, but like realistically, that's not real life, right? Is you have to set a time to relax, settle your brain, and usually, honestly honor those times, and take that real time away so you can focus on yourself, and focus on other things outside the business, because that's super important. And I think those are honestly my two biggest non-negotiables throughout the day, and buying back my time with the time that I have away, so I can detox and relax my body. um, and but definitely doing the steam room straight after work, cold shower. And dude, I don't know if you guys have a steam room next to you, and a steam room with a cold shower, it just wipes a clean slate. I don't know what it is, but it just absolutely, it's a game changer for me.
And if you don't have a steam room, move to Nemo.
Exactly, exactly. And then Buck, did you have a question, bro? Or is
Yeah,
your
dude.
hand up?
Because it's funny you bring this up because Claudia and I were actually talking about this the other day. I wanted to know a little bit more specifically, like, because I'm kind of struggling that right now, where it's like, you're selling, and then it's recruiting, and then it's management, and it's training calls. Like what can you like walk me through like how you're blocking out your time more
Yeah.
specifically? Because you're like me, dude. I like to be strategic, but I'm kind of going through that phase two of like here and there and there and there, and it's really distracting. Like, what did you do to like block out your time?
Of course, bro. I think a lot of people are. I can literally pull up my calendar, and I'll read it to you of exactly what I do. So my Mondays, and this is like more, I've been tweaking things, right? Is because what I found is, I was like, oh, I'll just throughout the day, I'll dial for X amount, and then right at 1 o'clock I'll break, and I'll go hop on a couple recruiting calls, or I'll work on this. And I found myself super overwhelmed. And so realistically, and I do want to work on the structure of my business and building that, and that's super important. So my schedule really looks like from on Mondays, right? Here, I wonder if I can I'll probably share my screen with you actually. Would that work, Jonah? Share my
Yeah.
screen, share my schedule. That might help a lot for guys just to kind of see a visual. Um,
Claudia, can you I don't think I'm host. Can you give Jake Ratermann host
oh, I can
abilities
I, I can
or
I
screen
can do
sharing
it.
abilities? Sweet.
So, all right. Can you guys see this?
Yes.
All right, cool.
All your client book
Um,
list? No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, yeah. All these numbers, make sure you guys dial, take out your phone, screenshot and replace these clients. But yeah, so essentially if you guys look at this, this is like my daily schedule. So Mondays are my heavy dial day. Like, dude, I am dialing like crazy. You know, I'm just trying to dial, get as much as I possibly can on the books, take my lunch break, but other than that, I'm done. And you know, pretty much I try to wrap everything up by 8 o'clock. Okay, that's like my end of the day. My Tuesday, I pretty much dial all. I'm in the office at 7 a.m., 7:30. You know, realistically, more like 7, and then I'm down. You know, as soon as 12 o'clock hits, I only do recruiting calls, and I only do one-on-one trainings on that time, and I have my agents booking one-on-ones because I don't want to do reoccurring one-on-ones because from what I've seen, I mean, you know, there are people who do it and props to them for doing that. I just feel that if agents really want help, they're going to make the effort to reach out. And then I do all my underwriting on Wednesday because in the middle of the week, it's perfect. Any policies I've written on Monday or Tuesday or the week before, Wednesday's a great week to hit it up. I spend those 4 hours just doing underwriting work or MISC because I started spreading myself so thin when I was doing underwriting. And I have my dialer doing some underwriting as well. And then Thursday, recruiting calls only. Oh yeah, Wednesday, I have date night, non-negotiable. Make sure I got to include some sort of you know, activity. And then you know, recruiting calls on Thursday. And then Friday for me, it's dial in the morning heavily, and then any recruiting calls and one-on-ones, and then pretty much just straight structure for the rest of the weekend so I can get all that stuff I need to get done. So it's dialing pretty heavy for 4 days. And then you know, for those other two 1.5 days in the weekends, it's just focusing on the things I can control. Yeah, go ahead, Buck.
Yeah, so because like obviously your schedule's not going to line up like perfectly. Like you might have like
Course.
some gaps in between. What are
Yeah.
you doing to fill in those times? Are you just like doing other things in the business? Like when you have like a 15-20 minute gap in between recruiting calls, like what do you do to fill your time?
Yeah, so that's when I would do you know, things that are probably outside of it. Like if it's a dial heavy day, like for example, Monday, obviously if someone doesn't, you know, show up to their appointment, I'm just gonna keep dialing, right? But like on a Tuesday, let's just say I'm not booking up all my recruiting times. There's definitely things that I could be doing to help improve the business as far as recruiting and as far as agents. And so I technically really like to just focus on that because my mind is already shifted, right? When I feel like what really hurt me in the beginning was when I wasn't shifting my mindset right away. I was just kind of like, oh, well, I'm gonna go into the recruiting calls. Oh wait, dude, hold on. This agent needs this, and oh, I'm gonna take this call, right? I wasn't being like really strict on myself. And so that's really what I've tried to change. Does that make sense? Yeah, cool.
And
Yeah,
so, yeah. Well, thanks for sharing that, Jake.
of course, bro.
Um,
Let me get back to this. There we go.
to switch gears a little bit, and we were talking a little bit about this before the call, and I'll kind of, give this over to you and you can take over, but you're
Yeah.
really good at creatively analyzing the financial inventory and really assessing the client situation. And because within this job, the ability to think on our feet and position certain things and know how to read and how to analyze the financial inventory is really important. So that's one thing you do a good job at. So I'll just let you take it over and just walk us through, how you fill it out, what you're thinking, how you position certain situations of the client, maybe share some past experiences, etc.
Yeah, you want me to just go? I'll pull up the financial inventory. Um, if you want, I can actually pull up my financial inventory and show you guys kind of what I do and kind of just show it. If that would help a little bit more. I
That's
can walk you
perfect.
guys through that. Yeah, that'll be
Yeah, go for it.
a lot more helpful for people. All right, let me pull up
For the
one.
visual learners.
Heck yeah. All right, pull it up right now. Awesome. All right, should share in a second. Let's see. All right, is it sharing? For some reason I can't. There we go. There you go.
You
Okay.
still see your screen? Perfect. Now you're good.
You guys see that? All right, cool.
Yep.
So if you guys see here, so the financial inventory, I like to take, my biggest thing about this is asking the appropriate questions. I've added a lot of questions to kind of make this a little bit more simple for newer agents. Obviously it's some of the basics like we talk about, but walking guys through the financial inventory, essentially what I like to do is just ask appropriate questions to make my job easier in the close. Right? Because I want to essentially use this as a piece to pretty much pull away any objections that I'm about to have and make sure that I'm prepared and essentially just develop as much ammunition as I possibly can. So for newer agents, this will be super important for you guys to definitely tune in here. But essentially, going through the name, age, occupation, that's a given. I like to ask people as far as occupation goes. I like to make sure that Joni, you want to run through this? I can just run through a mock FI, and I think that'll be
Yep. Let's
really
run it.
good to help people. All right.
Perfect.
Jonah, just to making sure I have the correct file in front of me, sir. I've got you at that 123 Main Street, right?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay, perfect. And then I do have your full name listed here on the file as Jonah Lewis. Is that correct? Lewis?
That is correct. Yes.
And is it just you in the home, or do you have a significant other or spouse as well, Jonah?
I have a spouse.
Spouse. Okay. And then I'm not seeing the first name of her, the correct spelling here on my end. What was the correct spelling of your wife's first name?
Claudia.
Okay.
Claudia.
Okay. Usually I like to ask that. The correct spelling is if some people, I'm sure you've gotten the objection, well, you don't know my spouse's name, right? I just say, yeah, what's the correct spelling of your spouse's name? Right? Just to make sure I got that correct. Right. So I'll ask that. Cool. Got Claudia. And then Jonah, I have your age here as 62 years young. Is that correct?
Yep, that's correct.
All right. Now, what's a good date of birth for you, sir?
It'd be 10/26/99.
Perfect. All right. And then I've got are you currently a smoker at all, sir?
Just cigars.
All right.
Every now and then.
Man, I love it. I love it. And like you'll see here, I'll build a little bit rapport, guys, on it. You'll see throughout the FI, but really I'm trying to keep it as professional as I possibly can, because the last thing you want to do is build too much rapport and the client just starts acting and treating you like a friend, right? At that point in time, they're not going to take this seriously and they're not going to view you as a professional. So if someone starts going off, I like to bring them immediately back, right? So now, Jonah, what's a good height and weight for you, sir?
It's gonna be 5'7", 150.
Okay. Now, any major medical surgeries within the last 20 years, sir?
No.
Okay. And then are you currently taking any prescribed medications for any chronic illnesses or any illnesses at all?
Nope.
Okay. And then
Do you want me to be like the person I am now, or do you want me to be an older client? Do you have a preference?
That's fine. That's fine. You're good to just, answer whatever. And then any bankruptcies in the last 10 years at all, sir?
Nope.
Any DUIs or felonies on record?
Nope.
All right. Now I'm mandated with the state here, sir, to go through these medical conditions. Just let me know which ones apply to you. Okay.
Okay.
All right. I've got heart attack, stroke, TIA, cancer.
Nope.
Stents, diabetes, neuropathy, lupus, rheumatoid arthritis, asthma, COPD.
No.
Thyroid, anxiety, depression, kidney, liver disease, or STD.
Nope.
Now, this is an important one. I ask this every single time. Now, Jonah, besides the medical conditions that we went through, have you ever been diagnosed with any sort of medical condition ever in your life?
ADHD.
Okay, ADHD. I heard that a little bit of Down syndrome too, correct? Or did I mistake that? I don't know if
Yeah, Down syndrome as well. Yeah, a little
okay.
bit.
All right, just making sure.
Yep.
All right, so I'll just make sure to mark that. But and then Jonah, who is the home going to if you pass away?
It would be going to my wife, Claudia.
Your wife, Claudia. Okay. Now do you have any family dependents in the home? Any kids at all?
No, not that I know of now.
Okay. Tell me you do have kids.
Yes, I do have kids.
Okay, and any of your kids of the age to actually take over the home if anything were to happen to you?
Let's say, do you want me to say yes or no? Do you have a
Yeah,
preference?
say yes. Say yes.
Okay, yes.
Okay. Now, if anything were to happen to your wife and you at the same time, obviously making sure that she's fully protected is important, correct?
Yes, of course.
Okay. All right. Reason I do that is I want to bring a realistic situation is that he's not just covering his wife, he's covering his kids. Psychologically, people really care more about their kids than their wife. It's weird. It's just how it is. But that's why I
True.
really want to bring that into the picture is making sure he understands that he's still protecting his kids. Okay. Now, John,
Hey
you
Jake,
said, yeah,
are you filling this out as we're going through this?
no.
Oh, okay. Just have it all in your head.
Oh, well, yeah, I'm filling it out on paper. Yeah.
Oh, okay. You don't manually fill it out. Okay, I thought you fill it out digitally, but you still fill it out with a physical piece of paper.
Oh, I fill it out digitally on the CRM. Yeah.
Gotcha. But you're not
Yeah.
okay. Never mind.
Yeah. All these questions are on my CRM. And then, Jonah, what's your estimated monthly income ballpark?
Estimated monthly income's about 10 grand a month.
Okay, perfect. And is that coming from any sort of other sources as far as salaries or just salary?
Just salary.
No rental properties, anything like that?
Nope.
Okay.
Just salary.
It's a super important question. Make sure you know. I've had someone say yeah, I make about 3,000 a month. Okay, perfect. And any sort of other source. Oh yeah, I also make another 15 grand in rental property. Oh, okay. Right. That's huge. So making sure that
Yeah.
you know any additional other income. And then as far as your significant other, obviously a coverage was important on her, correct?
Yeah. I was thinking mainly for me, but I guess we could look at her too. It wouldn't
Okay.
hurt.
And then I'm not going to go over medical questions because obviously, for sake of time here. And then, Jonah, how much is your significant other bringing in per month?
She's bringing in about another 10.
Another 10. Okay. So you're bringing in how much a month, ballpark? You said 10?
So about 20 total.
About 20 total? Okay. All right. And then any other income that she's bringing in
Nope.
besides a salary? Okay. And then I had your mortgage balance listed here as 400,000. I'm assuming now it's about, at that time of closing, assuming now it's about 360, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
About that.
And then how much longer is in your mortgage term?
We've got 28 years left.
Okay. Now as well as here's how much is that estimated home value ballpark figure there?
Oh man, I haven't even gotten appraised, but our neighbor down the street. He just sold his house for 500,000. So
Perfect.
we have more square footage than he does, probably right around 500,000.
That's awesome. Okay, yeah. So it sounds like to me our software is saying about the same thing, 500,000 here. Perfect. And then what's that estimated monthly mortgage payment for you, Jonah?
Mortgage payment's $2,000 a month.
Perfect. And I'm assuming this is your forever home, right?
Yes.
Okay. And then at the end of, and this one's so important, guys, make sure you ask this every single time. The last thing I want to do is not know how much expenditures he has left over, because if I don't know that, I don't know how to price it. And I'm just going to get the objection it's too expensive, right? Because I literally have no idea. Because some people can be making 15 grand a month, 20 grand a month, and they have 1,000 left over because they're spreading this so thin. I've seen it many times before. Right. So Jonah, now at the end of every month, all expenses paid between both you and your wife, how much money do you guys have left over? Ballpark.
Oh man, you probably got about at least a couple $1,000 left over every month,
Okay. Okay. And then now Jonah here, so you said about 1,000, correct?
if not more,
If
minimum.
not more. Okay, about 1,000, 2,000 then sound about right.
Yeah, I'd say so.
Okay. And then lastly here, Jonah, do you or your family have any sort of assets that you guys would be able to liquidate in the case of a financial emergency or medical emergency that would be, significant enough to pay off the home?
I've got a 401k.
401k. Okay. And then I'm assuming that's over 100,000 then, correct? Or under?
We got about 200 in there.
200. Okay. And then Jonah, do you have any sort of life insurance outside of work or anything that acts like life insurance?
Yes, I have a state farm policy for 100,000 that I took out 5 years ago.
Beautiful. All right. I'll write that down. Cool. And then was it a term, I'm assuming, or a whole life?
I don't know. I'd have to look at the policy. It was so long ago.
Okay, understood. Usually in that time, I really do want to make sure I know what they have because that's important to me if I'm going to look at coverage for them. But, I'm obviously selling them on mortgage protection. So one thing I really want to harp on, guys, is a lot of the times agents will get stuck on this. They'll be like, oh, dude, I need to know how much coverage he has because I'm going to sell him another policy and replace that. And they focus so hard on trying to get this answer and they end up losing the client. I've seen it many
Yep.
times
Yep.
where, dude, you're there to sell him mortgage protection, sell him mortgage protection, right? He has life insurance. A great
Or
question in a
or
great word
even
chat.
well, let me
Go
add to
ahead.
that. Even
Yeah,
even better yet, what I typically, even if I wanted to replace it, I wouldn't even say anything regarding that. I would sell them the mortgage protection, and at the end of the appointment, I would tell him, "Hey, John, we actually also deal with life insurance as well. So let me double check to see if we can get you a better rate on that state farm policy, or lump that in with your mortgage protection, and
yeah.
then boom, and then you just almost close to doubled your commission, sold them two policies, whatever the case may be."
Exactly, exactly. And one thing too, I like to differentiate immediately in this, guys, is something that I've added to the FI pretty much in just my own perspective is I like to make sure that he understands the difference between both, and I've already handled that objection. So a great question that I like to ask is, okay, Jonah, so now with that life insurance, I'm assuming, the whole purpose here is to make sure that your kids aren't having to dip into that life insurance to pay off the home, or your wife is, correct?
Correct.
Okay. Easy question. That's all I asked.
Boom.
Now I've just differentiated. He has no association with life insurance with what's going on, right? Now I say, okay, now Jonah, these two questions are super important, guys, for understanding. And then Jonah, I think it'd be good to give me some objections that you may encounter within the FI. We can go over them. But
Jake, let me
before,
ask you, do you spend their life insurance? Do you like, yep, like let's say because 10K a month, I'm making about 120 a year. Would you throw in there? I'm assuming, John, that was to cover roughly about a year of your income. God forbid something happens, was the primary purpose you took out that life insurance policy.
yeah, what I typically like to do is I like to go through the questions first and I like to build value at the end so the value's fresh. The last thing I want to do is build value in the middle. And at that point, you get through the very end of the entire FI. And at that point, you're just asking a bunch of questions and he's not holding on to that value, right? He's still differentiating that. So I'll go back in and talk about that life insurance once I ask these two questions, right? Because these questions will really help me understand what he's actually thinking, right? So essentially, I'll say, now, Jonah, if God forbid you were to pass away, what would that situation look like financially for the family? I'm assuming it'd be pretty tough, right?
Yeah, it'd be pretty tough.
Give me some objections on that.
Okay, well, let's say, yeah, let's say, you know what, we'd be fine. Claudia's
Gotcha.
making good money. We'd be, we'd be set.
Gotcha. And then Jonah, how much did you say that estimated monthly mortgage payment is?
2,000.
Okay. And you said you had $1,000 left over every month, correct?
Correct.
Okay. Now, obviously here, both of you guys have your own expenditures, but correct me if I'm wrong, but if you guys have $1,000 left over, if we're able to wipe out $10,000 worth of your income, how much money would you have left over at that point? I'm assuming not very much. Does that sound about right?
Well, as of right now, yeah, but I mean, we like to eat out, and you know,
Gotcha.
we just bought a new flat screen for the house, and we upgraded the patio furniture. So, we'd have to cut back on the spending, but
Gotcha. So
we
I'm
we
assuming you
we wouldn't
guys,
lose the home or anything.
right, you guys are really enjoying that lifestyle, right? You really enjoy it.
I mean, it's nice. Yeah.
Yeah, okay. And then I'm assuming that if anything were to happen to you, you're wanting your spouse to continue that lifestyle that you enjoy, right?
Yeah. Claudia likes
Uh,
it.
Okay. So, correct me if I'm wrong, but from what it seems like, you know, it really wouldn't be the most tough financially for you. But it sounds like to me that this would really be more important to you guys to make sure that, you know, you're able to maintain that lifestyle and that home is completely taken care of for her. Does that sound about right?
Well, now that you put it that way, that would sound about right. Yeah.
Give me another objection, Jonah. This is the biggest objection we get. Honestly, genuinely, I wanna harp on this. Give me another one.
Yeah, I mean, Jake, it sounds good, but I mean, we don't make any decisions the same day. I mean, we obviously need to think about it.
Gotcha. And you know, as far as okay, you if I when did you tell me this? Like halfway through or what? Like when I
Let's
got
say
to
halfway through.
options?
Say
Halfway
halfway
through?
through.
Okay.
Not
Now,
even we haven't
John,
even gotten to options yet.
to be honest, I wouldn't expect you to make a decision on something that you don't even know exists. To be honest, I wouldn't make a decision either. That's why it's entirely my job to customize something for the family. Because correct me if I'm wrong, but you know, if I was able to find something comfortable and affordable that would avoid that situation and pay off the home for your family, that would be important to you, correct?
That would be important. I mean, yeah.
Right. So that's exactly what my job is here, Jonah. So, and I just keep going in.
Okay. Are you I called my bank though, and they told me that I don't need this. And they told me
Did
not
you
to
tell
take
me
your
this in
call.
the FI?
Yeah.
Damn, that'll be the first I got that. But hey, if anyone's gotten that, here's how to answer. Oh, okay. So, you know, Jonah, you're probably pretty familiar how the banks make money, right?
No.
Okay. So I'm assuming you're aware that they profit off of the foreclosure of your house, correct?
I didn't think about it that way, but that would make sense.
Right. And you are aware that the entire point of this coverage is to avoid the foreclosure and the bank's profiting off your home, correct?
I could see why that would make sense.
Perfect. So I'm assuming you are aware that the banks don't want you to have this coverage so they could foreclose on the house, correct?
Okay. Well, that makes sense,
Okay.
Jake.
So yeah, that's why you remember like back in '08 when the housing crisis happened, Jonah?
I do. Yeah, that wasn't good.
Okay. Yeah, so back in '08 when the housing crisis happened, the mortgage companies were actually the ones in charge of the protection for the family. But after that ended up happening and the state realized that the mortgage companies were corrupt, what ended up happening there is they mandated that the state mandated the mortgage companies offload the responsibility of protecting families onto medical underwriters within the state. So when you guys close with One Capital Lending, they assigned us your case file in regard to the protection for the family. Now, Jonah, I work for a company called Pinnacle Life Group. We handle the various mortgage protection files for various lenders within the state. Does that make sense?
Boom. Money. We
Cool.
found out the lenders were corrupt.
Dude, you want to paint them as the devil. It's like kind of like if anyone came from solar, right? It's just literally the same thing.
Yeah.
We're painting the power companies as not, you know, great people. But of course, people like for some reason trust their lenders and think they're the best people ever. So it's just painting that picture that, you know, the lenders aren't there for them. They don't care about them. But
I
but
love
yeah,
that. We're running out of time, so let's keep ripping through the FI for
let's
now, and
do
then
it.
we'll do
Yeah,
some
I
rapid
just I
fire
just wanted to
injections right
give
after
because
this.
those are big objections that we have, right? At the very end, when you try to build a value, they tell you that they don't want it or I'll give it to the kids or whatever it is. So the biggest thing I see agents do within the FI is they don't ask qualifying questions. And so what happens is they waste their time. What happens is they'll go through, they'll get to the FI, they get into options, and they didn't ask qualifying questions, and they didn't understand that it was going to their kids. They didn't care about it that much. It's kind of just looking for quotes, right? And they waste their time, they pitch it, and they get mad at themselves. So if you guys aren't asking qualifying questions at the end of your financial inventory, you're doing yourself a disservice, and you're also doing the client a disservice because you don't actually know what they care about, right? So that's why I ask these important questions is Jonah, right? If you were to pass away, what would that situation look like financially for your family? I'm assuming it'd be pretty tough, right? Yeah, it'd be tough, but really I'm just trying to make sure I just cover the kids or leave something for the kids. Right? Okay, perfect. Now you know what he wants, right? Or now actually my kids are going to take care of it. How many times you've gone to options and then they tell you that, right? You're avoiding these objections firsthand. So that's a big thing that you guys should be doing.
Jake,
The
how do you handle the objection? Listen, I'm only getting the coverage if I'm covering the entire mortgage. If I can't cover the full thing, I don't want it.
Right. So, John, from what it sounds like on your end here, are you aware of your medical health?
Well, I mean, yeah, but it's not that bad.
Okay. Are you unhealthy? I don't know. Are you telling me that or
But yo,
what?
let's say I'm effed. I'm just effed. Yes, I'm very
Okay,
unhealthy.
you're AIG, baby. All right, I love it. Yeah. So essentially, be like, yeah. So, John, you're aware of your health, right?
I mean, I guess. I mean,
Okay.
just had a heart attack and fine.
Right. So from what it seemed like here on as far, and what I'll do is I'll paint the income, right? That I'll paint the paint, right? So, are you poor or are you rich?
Social Security, it'd say right in the middle, 3K a
Right in the
month.
middle. Okay. So from what it looks like on my end, John, if anything were to happen to you, um, it sounds like your wife would be in a pretty tough situation financially, right? Is that safe to say?
I'd figure it out.
She figured
You know,
out, right?
yeah, we'd probably have to have a family member move into the home.
Okay. Right. Have to have a family member move in. And
Yeah, or she'd
from
get a
the
job. She's had a job before. Wouldn't be the first
gotcha.
time.
Yeah, of course. And I'm assuming she's totally fine with making those sacrifices at your guys' age.
I mean, we haven't talked about it, but you got to do what you got to do.
Right. Um, Understood. So Jonah, from what it seems here is it sounds like you're just trying to accomplish the goal to make sure that she's in a healthy place financially if anything were to happen to you. Does that sound about right?
I mean, as long as it makes sense and we can cover the full mortgage, yeah,
Right. So Jonah, essentially here, you're aware if anything were to happen to you, the bank's gonna be watching your house like a hawk, right?
I guess.
So essentially, if she misses even one or two mortgage payments in the time of passing, right, through that transition process when she's going through the toughest part of her life, what would happen is the bank's going to take all the equity in the home and completely take the house. And I'm assuming that's not something you want, correct?
No, not at all.
Okay. So, Jonah, obviously, here, I want to be able to find you the maximum amount of coverage that's going to meet your guys' needs. But again, I'm only limited to what I can actually help you guys with. So my job would be here is to make sure that that bank never takes that home. Because I'm assuming even if we were able to provide her with a significant amount of mortgage payments to make sure that she can process within the home and she's not having to immediately start forking out thousands of dollars, right? After you pass, that would be important to you, correct?
Yes, that would be important.
Okay. So, then we'll just keep going. You just need to
Money.
paint the picture. And I think guys like to really wrap it up is like a lot of people think that, oh, I need to find this crazy word track. But if you guys really understand it is, yes, the word tracks matter. Yes, it's important to understand them. But when you guys get objections and you're really kind of stuck, okay, what the heck? I don't know how to manage this. A great thing that I teach agents is these rebuttals that you don't know how to answer, like in the FI or in the options, you can take a little bit of time, right? It's not something you immediately have to rebuttal. So think about it, right? Don't just respond with whatever the first thing comes into your brain and stutter, right? Think about what you're going to say, use that pause collectively, and imagine where you want them to be, right? What do you want them to say? I want them to say it's important, right? So imagine where you want them to be and then ask questions so he can formulate his own opinion. If you tell him why it's important, you're never going to get it. You're never going to get the client because you're telling him why it's important. He doesn't care. He has to realize that himself. And that's what I've seen separate really good writers from average writers is because they realize that they can't tell the person why they need it. They have to ask strategic questions to place them in the position where they've realized it themselves and the importance of it themselves. And if you guys can do that, I promise you, and practice it. Practice it with your other agents, wherever your office are, whatever. Practice assumptive-based questioning and proper questioning to paint pictures for yourself and where you want that client to be. Because once you guys can master that and start using your brains instead of using your scripts, right, is your brain is what matters. You're never going to have every objection for everything. So if you understand how to ask strategic questions, it's going to pivot yourself and put you where you want to be, especially in the FI. because that is the most important thing when you guys are going through this, is asking the proper questions to develop the actual value within this, and do not move forward. One thing I remember, Jonah knows this, dude. I had 25. Remember I told you I had 25 presentations and like 2 closes one week.
Yes.
Dude, I
Yes.
had 25 presentations because I was forcing people into the presentation. I didn't ask them qualifying questions, and I screwed up and I wasted so much of my time. And I feel like that's where agents really needed to say, hey, save my energy, save my time, and value the people that actually want and need my help. And if you guys can do that, I promise you, you guys are going to change the entire way you write. You're going to write so much more AP, and you're going to spend the time with the people who actually care about it, who actually want it, rather than just wasting your time with a bunch of people who want to just suck quotes out of you.
Facts. Facts. Yeah. Never. And when we can feel it in our gut, we can feel it in our gut if something's off. So you guys want to just be very strategic and maintain. You guys noticed how every objection I gave from Jake, he just simply asked a strategic question in the end. Because a lot of agents, they make this mistake of, they'll acknowledge the client's objection and they'll respond to it, and then they'll just stop. What happens when you respond to an objection, you just pause. Client's just going to give you another objection, another objection. Always follow it up with a question to retake control. Whoever controls the conversation is the one that wins in the end. And in order to control the conversation, you simply control it by asking intentional questions, like we've gone over in this call. So cannot stress the importance of that enough.
Yeah, brother.
But
Yeah,
we got
1000%.
we've got 12 minutes left. We're gonna do some rapid fire objections, then we'll open it
Let's
up
do
for a
it.
couple questions.
Do it, bro.
Jake, are you with my bank?
Yeah, I answered this before. I'll go over it again because this is important, guys. Yeah, Jonah, do you remember back in 2008 when the housing crisis happened, right? I'm assuming you remember that.
Yes.
Okay.
Guys, take notes because I gave this to Jake because I love how he responds to this.
Yeah. And the reason I respond with this, guys, is because when you respond with a question, it's a lot better than responding with a statement. Because people automatically expect you to respond with a statement and get defensive. And that's when they hang up the phone on you. So if you respond with a question, it completely throws them off. John, you remember back in 2008 when the housing crisis happened, right?
Yeah, of course.
Okay. Back then, the mortgage companies were the ones that were in charge of the protection for the families. But after that housing crisis, when the state realized that the mortgage companies were corrupt, what ended up happening is the state mandated that the mortgage companies offload the responsibility of helping families onto medical underwriters within the state. So when you guys close with your lender, One Capital Group, they assigned us your case file in regard to the protection for the family. I work for a company called Pinnacle Life Group. We handle the various mortgage protection files within the state. Does that make sense?
Makes sense. We're gonna sell the home, and we'll just get this in the next home. This is just a temporary spot we're living in.
Gotcha. Yeah, and it sounds like this is your first time going through the process before. Is that correct, Jonah?
Yep.
Okay. So you're already aware that this stays with you for the rest of your life, and it stays on you as an individual, correct? Not on the home?
No, I did not know that.
Okay. So that's the exact reason for the call here. It looks like you may have spoken to a sales agent. My job is to actually customize a plan for the family that's not only going to make sense for you guys financially, but also meet your needs now and long term as well. Because I'm assuming you're wanting any property that you buy, not only your next property, to be completely covered and protected for your family, correct?
Ideally, yes.
Okay. So go ahead and grab a pen and paper. I'm going to go ahead and have you document my state credentials.
Boom. Hey, I'm at work right now. Can you call me later?
Yeah. So no worries, Jonah. I'm pretty busy right now as well. From what it sounds like here, I'm assuming here's what I like to do, guys. In this, if you're at work, pretty much it's just like, I don't really try to battle this, because essentially what I'll do is I'll try to build a little bit of value. If he sees the value, I'll push through, right? Because how many times, Jonah, do you get, I'm at work within 5 seconds of the call and you try to book an appointment immediately and the guy no shows the next time you book an appointment?
Almost every time.
Almost every time. So if you guys don't build value in your appointment, they're not going to show up. So I'm not going to just try and push this guy into an appointment if he isn't willing to listen to me for 3 seconds to build value. Right? So if he's like, dude, I'm at work, bro, I gotta go. Can we talk about this later? Right? It's a callback. Okay. But for example, let's just say, Jonah, we've got into it, right? I get into why the file is flagged, everything like that. And you're like, hey man, I'm at work. Can we talk about this later? Here's how I would respond. Now, Jonah, I'm assuming when you had initially closed on the home, it was important to you to make sure that there was something in place that would pay off the home or any financial burden for the family if you were to pass. Is that correct?
That would be correct.
Okay. And then who was the home going to if anything were to happen to you?
It's going to my spouse.
Going to your spouse? Okay. So I'm assuming you guys both make decisions together, correct?
I would say so.
Okay.
Yeah.
I want to be extremely respectful of your time here, sir. Because obviously you are at work. Obviously I know that this is important to you and your spouse. What times are available during the day, mornings, evenings, or afternoons, where you and your spouse would be available?
Oh man, she's a nurse, so her hours are crazy. So I'm gonna have to check with her, figure that out. My hours fluctuate, so it just
Yeah.
depends.
Yeah. So Jonah, just because right now it's a pretty busy time of year, there's really no way to call me back just because, we're pretty much owned by appointment anyways. I just had a few moments to give you a call. I know that you guys do work those crazy schedules. If you had to decide at that time of week, when would be a good time, like mornings, evenings, or afternoons when you guys would have a bit?
Typically evenings.
Evenings? Okay. And the reason I asked that twice, Jonah, is because you're gonna get an objection that, oh, dude, we have the worst schedule. And then I ask the question again, and he gives me an actual time. So, and then some people are like, dude, 8 o'clock. I'm like, all right, bro, I'm not running an appointment at 8 o'clock in California. Like, I'm not doing it, right? So it's like, because I'm 2 hours ahead, and I'm not on their schedule, bro. They're on mine, right? So I'm gonna tell them, you dude, I only work in the office till 5 o'clock. So, and I'll see if it's really valuable to him, right? If you really matters, he'll book a time, right? You got to be really confident and straightforward with these people because a lot of the time they're just going to push and shove you around. And if you're not confident, you're not going to get those appointments.
100%.
Mhm.
Hey Jake, can you just mail me the information?
Yeah, so we can't mail or email you anything, Jonah. That's actually what's called soliciting. I'm actually here with the state. Our job is to what's called actually customize a plan for you and your family that would actually make sense as far as comfortability and affordability, but also you would qualify for, right? So does that make sense, Jonah?
Why aren't you soliciting me by giving me a call?
No, Jonah. So actually, we are allowed by the telecommunication laws to actually give you a call and help you with this. I just can't send you anything in the mail or send you anything via email. Number one, because you have no prior education or knowledge behind it. But I'm assuming you want to have something customized for you or your family, correct?
Yeah, I'd say so.
Okay. And I'm assuming it's important to find something that's comfortable and affordable.
Yes,
Okay.
definitely.
Yeah. So yeah, I'm not the quote guy. So essentially here, my job is to actually provide a plan for you that would make sense. If you want a quote, you can go to State Farm or Geico, right? My job would be to customize that plan. So go ahead and write down my credentials. Boom.
Money. That's so much better than the objection I have. I would get so mad when I would get that. I'd be like, Daryl, we already mailed it to you and you mailed it back to us. If we mailed it to you again, that'd be weird.
Right. I
I would
mean,
never get anywhere with that objection.
yeah, no, I like that one is like, dude, like people like, dude, just email it to me, bro. And I'm like, yeah, we can't email anything. That's what's called soliciting, John. And they're like, oh, okay. And then and I'll be straight up with people like, dude, I love when you told me to say I'm not the quote guy because I say it all
Oh
the
yeah.
time, dude. And it's straightforward and people they love it. They eat up I'm not the quote guy, bro. Cause then they're like, I'll tell them like, hey dude, if you want to quote, go to State Farm or Geico. And they're like, okay, well, I don't want to quote. I want someone who's professional. Right.
Correct. Because now they respect you more.
Yep.
100%.
Mm-hmm.
Uh we already somebody called us 3 months ago. We already have a policy. We're all set.
Oh, okay. I got you. It looks like one of our junior writers may have reached out to you. I'm assuming you got that policy packet in the mail. Is that correct?
No, we didn't get anything in the mail.
You didn't get anything in the mail? Okay. I
I
guess
don't
I'm a
think
little
so.
bit confused. You would have also been assigned one of our 35 carriers and gone through a series of medical questions with one of our underwriters. Did that end up happening?
I talked to some guy on the phone. It was about an hour and a half phone conversation. I gave him my social and my banking. And I
Huh.
think we're paying on something every month.
Gotcha. Okay. I guess that's a bit concerning here, Jonah, because I'm not seeing anything on the file on my end. And the fact that you haven't received a policy packet, that's actually state law that you receive a policy packet in the mail for your coverage. So that's a little bit concerning too. It looks like maybe one of our junior writers had helped you, or maybe a sales agent. My job is what's called a senior medical underwriter within the state of California, license number, blah, blah, blah. My job is actually to customize a plan for you and your family, but it looks like as well as it may have been flagged for review. Based as in, you may have not been placed properly here. Do you remember how much a month that you're paying for that coverage, Jonah?
I think it's like $137. Comes out of the 15th of every month.
Okay. Before I go any further here, Jonah, as far as understanding what coverage you do have, because correct me if I'm wrong, is it sound a little bit concerning that you don't have that policy packet?
Well, now that you say that, yeah, that's not good.
Yeah,
We should probably have
let's
that.
make sure we figure out what had happened because that's exactly what my job is, Jonah. I'm gonna go ahead and have you write down my credentials here and record who I am before I move any further. Okay, sir?
Boom. Money. Let's go. Guys, drop an emoji in the chat if you found that valuable. This was fire. All right, we got 5 minutes left. Let's open it up for questions. Feel free to drop your questions in the chat or unmute.
I have a few questions. Can I ask that?
Yeah.
Arthur.
All right. So, like you said, if you call them, they tell you they're at work or doesn't matter, like whatever reason, they cannot talk. And usually, most of the times, they hang up right away. But then I'll
Yeah.
let you answer your rebuttal, right? And tell them why
Mhm.
you're calling. So, what would you do in this situation if they hang up, like, and you gotta call them back?
Yeah. So it happens all the time. How many times do you like 5 seconds in? Yeah, my name's Jake. I'm a medical underwriter. Beep, beep, beep. Right? How many? All the time. So essentially, I always call people back. If you guys immediately just like let it go and move on to the lead, you're missing a sale. I can't tell you how many times I've gotten a ridiculous amount of sales from literally just calling people back. So I state this immediately, and I teach all our agents to do this is, let's just say you hung up on me. I answer the phone, or you answer the phone on my second call. Hey, Arthur.
Hey, yeah.
Yeah, my name is Jake Ratermann. This isn't a sales or a spam call. I'm a senior medical underwriter within the state of California, license number 1111, and then just go into script. That's it. People will listen to you. They just need some sort of realistic thing that it's not a sales or spam call and that you've assorted some
Got it.
sort of authority. Yep.
And I have second question. If you go through financial victory and then you find out they have life insurance policy, and you
Mhm.
already said something about it, like what would you do? Would you like just take a note that they have life insurance policy, and right after that you close them for mortgage protection, right? And how would you transit? How would you transit the conversation to close them, like replace their life insurance policy that they already have it? Like
Yeah.
what's your script for that?
Yeah, so I think for newer agents who are trying to consolidate policies and put them into one, I think that's something that if you're going through an FI, at least for the first time, to consolidate at least your upline before doing that. Because the last thing you want to do is just over gouge or mess it up. But as far as like transitioning, I mean, I would just sell them for newer agents too. I would just sell them mortgage protection. Just get them the thing that they wanted, get them mortgage protection. Then at that point, I like to go, okay, now that life insurance policy, John, you said you got that about 5 years ago, correct?
Yes.
Okay. So, obviously here, since I work with all 35 insurance carriers within the state, the next step in the process here would just be to make sure that you're in the best situation financially in regards to the current coverage that you have. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So, what times of the day work best for you, like mornings, evenings, afternoons, where you're able to pull out that policy packet for that coverage, and we could go over it together.
I'm available after 6.
There you go. Boom. That's what I would do, because you want to just tell them that this is the next step in the process, right? Not, hey, John, would it be okay if I helped you with that life insurance too and take a look at that? Ah, no, Jake, we're good, bro.
Yeah.
We don't need that. We're in the best situation, right? So you're telling him that this is what you're gonna do. So there you go.
Absolutely.
All right. Thank you.
Yeah, any last minute other questions? You said Bradley, how do you go about getting clients mid-application process back on the phone? Bradley, do you want to clarify on what you mean by that? Are you talking about like mid-application, like the social and banking, or?
Yeah, like let's say like something came up, like, and they have to go as you're filling it out, and then it's like you can't get them back on the phone.
Oh, I got you. Yeah, so whenever I call a client back and they don't answer the first time, I call them from like 3 different numbers. And I call them from a different number every time because they're probably avoiding you on purpose. And when you get them on the phone, they're like, "Oh, Jake, sorry about that. I don't know what happened there," right? So you just want to call from a bunch of different numbers, and yeah, that's really gonna help you get them back on the phone. But are you talking about as far as transitioning them back or just getting them on the phone?
I'm back on the phone.
Okay,
That
yeah,
makes
then
sense.
that's
So
what.
thank you.
Yeah, of course, bro.
All right, we got time for one more question. Anybody? All right. Well, while you guys are thinking, so yeah.
And then
All right. Well,
I just dropped
we're
the FI in the chat because I know some people wanted it, so you guys can use
perfect.
that.
Yeah,
It has the
Christy said that.
questions on it.
Thank you.
Hmm?
All right. Well, we're going over on time here, but to wrap things up, a couple things to go over with you guys. First of all, convention tickets are going up. So if you guys have not gotten your tickets yet, get your tickets ASAP. Also, we'll be reaching out, but coordinate different times if you guys do have a tight budget. Coordinate different times, somebody else going down there, maybe split a hotel room, whatever the case may be. But make sure to get registered for the Pinnacle Convention. Second thing is our next lock-in is going to be the second week of January. So that's going to be, I got my calendar pulled up here. So it's going to be the 6th through the 11th, that Monday through that Saturday. So let's get a pack. We're going to have a packed house here. So looking forward to seeing all you guys at that time, and message me and Claudia if you guys have any questions. Other than that, let's go kill it and let's have a blessed week. Peace.